you're a Christian and you've noticed that your mental health is suffering, or even you've been diagnosed with one mental illness or the other, please stick around. We're going to talk about it in a bit. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking about something really important. Sorry, I know everywhere is getting a bit dark. I shot a video earlier on today and I'm already losing daylight. So I'm going to talk about this really quick. So for a lot of people who know me, you know how big I am on faith and on mental health, right? So personally, mental health is a really important topic to me, and especially when it comes to Christians, it's a really important topic, because a lot of Christians still think that it is wrong to experience a mental health issue, like you being diagnosed with a mental health illness or experiencing one mental health issue or the other is means that you are faithless, or you are less of a Christian, or God is not with you, or something of those nature. But I am going to be telling you that it is okay to experience these things as a Christian. That does not mean you are not a child of God. That does not mean you are not born again. That does not mean you are not spirit filled. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through some pointers I have here, and also note out some Bible passages, and also some characters or notable characters in the Bible that experienced one mental health issue or the other. Okay, so let's go straight into it. So guys, so one of the very famous questions a lot of Christians or even anybody asks when it comes to Christians and mental health is that a Christian be diagnosed with mental health. As a Christian, is it okay for me to suffer anxiety as a Christian? Is it okay for me to feel sad as a Christian? Like, come on, that you're a Christian does not mean you're not human. God knows you were going to experience some things in life. That is why He told you, I leave the Holy Spirit unto you to teach, to guide, to instruct, and to be with you. Okay, the main thing is know when to seek help. That is the most important thing, and that brings me to another point. Seeking help does not mean you are less of a Christian. Come on. Okay, you have malaria. Taking malaria drugs or anti-malaria drugs, does that mean you're less of a Christian though? So exactly. So just because you don't see a mental health issue, like you see a broken bone, or like you feel the symptoms of malaria or typhoid or any any physical illness or any medical illness or even cancer and the rest, just because you cannot see a mental health issue, a mental health disorder, does not mean it doesn't exist. And sweetheart, if you can't pray away a broken limb or a broken bone, don't pray away mental illness. Seek help. Okay? Another point I want to make is stop guilt-tripping individuals who experience mental health issues. Like, you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not happening. Stop guilt-tripping them. Somebody is suffering depression or schizophrenia or whatever it is, or even anxiety, that someone is suffering this thing, does not mean they are seeking attention. People are really suffering these things. So the best you can do is offer help. Be there for them. If they are family members, be supportive. Direct them on where to find help. Or even suggest to go to the hospital with them. Suggest to go to therapy sessions with them. It is totally okay. Stop guilt-tripping individuals who are struggling with their mental health. Okay? Okay. So there are a number of reasons why someone could be suffering or like having issues with their mental health. We can talk about a few of those reasons, and probably sometime, I mean, a lot of us already know what some of these reasons are, or some of the causes of mental illnesses. So it could range from loss of a loved one to illnesses, even medical illnesses, divorce, family problems, unemployment, a whole lot of cases. So it is okay. I will keep repeating it till it sinks in. It is okay. It is normal to experience these problems. What is not normal, however, what is not okay, is you just sitting down and refusing to seek help. Come on, seek help. There are people waiting for you. For you, who is a friend of an individual who is currently struggling with their mental health, what is not okay is bashing them for their mental health or thinking they are seeking attention. These people are struggling. The least you can do is just be supportive or just be quiet, okay? Don't think that these people are seeking attention or they're doing this just for selfish reasons. No, people are really, really struggling. How would you deal with a loved one or a family member or a friend who is having cancer? How would you handle that? Exactly. So please be more empathic towards these persons, okay? So like I also mentioned, among those causes of mental illnesses, there's usually a story I tell Christians. So the story goes like this. There's a couple, Sandy and Tom, and one day Sandy started crying and she was really crying. In the morning she just woke up and in the kitchen she just sat down and was crying uncontrollably. Her husband didn't understand what was happening. She herself, she didn't understand what was going on with her. Well, it's not my Sandy. So she didn't understand what was going on with her either. But then after this continued for a really long time, she lost interest in a lot of things. She wasn't happy. And mind you, her family is doing great. Her marriage is great. Her family is fine. Her husband is doing good. Her kids were fine. Everything was rock solid except her. She wasn't feeling well. She wasn't feeling really good. So what was the problem? After a few weeks, her husband Tom suggested that she goes to the hospital. And then when they got to the hospital, the doctor directed them to a psychiatrist. And at first she didn't want to go, and then after a few persuasions from her husband, she decided to try it out. And she went for therapy, and after a few sessions, her psychiatrist came back with her results and told her that her problem was not because of anything, but that she was depressed. And she was like, how can I be depressed? I'm a Christian, I pray, I know my God, my husband knows I'm a Christian, everybody knows I'm a Christian. How can I know my walk with God, how can I have a mental illness? It's not possible. And it's not and she ruled out everything. Her family is great, this, that. She ruled out all of these things. And yet, her doctor is here telling her that she has depression. So she's wondering how, this, that. And then the doctor suggested a few other tests, and then long story short, they find out that she has her depression was as a result of chemical imbalance. Okay, so this is also one of the causes why of mental illnesses. It could be that everything else is fine, but for Sandy it was just as a result of a chemical imbalance, and she was placed on medication. Like I keep telling Christians, like I also tell other people, not just Christians, it is okay to take medication. Medication is not the enemy here. Okay, the illness is the enemy. The illness is the enemy that you are fighting with. Okay, not your spouse, not your family, not your friends. It is the illness. So it is totally okay to take medication. At this point, that medication is your weapon to fighting this war. Okay, so she started taking her medication, and within a few months, Sandy was back to normal, and everybody was happy again. All right, and also she was able to also balance everything. According to the testimony, she was also able to balance everything by going to therapy and also even having sessions with her pastor, so aside her psychological therapy that she was already going through. Alright, so it is totally okay to go through these things. So now I'm going to give us a few persons, a few biblical characters that also experienced one mental issue, like struggling, let me use that word now, struggling with their mental health. So one of these persons was David. You could read Psalm 38 verse 4. You could use that for example. I mean, we all know that David had these struggles. if you really studied the story of David, you will know that David had his own struggles, but yet he was still a man after God's own heart. So tell me, how is it that this man, that God has decided, that God has said he is after my own heart, how is that this man still experienced so many troubles, and yet he was still downcasted and still felt sad and still felt depressed and all of these things? But the most important thing, David always knew his way back to God. Okay, so we'll get to that part later. But I'm just listing out a few biblical persons that struggled with their mental health. So David was one. Another person is Job. We all know the story of Job. We all know how Job suffered. We all know all the. Please tell me, would you go through all that Job went through and not have your mental health dragging on the floor? Is it possible? So Job suffered a lot and his mental health also suffered, but then he was also compensated by God. So don't tell me that it is not okay for a Christian to not suffer, to not have their mental health under attack, or they will suffer from a mental health issue. Alright, so you could find for the story of Job, you could find that in Job 3 verse 26. And also, let's not forget Saul. I mean, come on, Saul was a troubled man. Okay, he was a troubled man. Alright, so Saul had his own demons to fight, and by the grace of God, he had David to play the harp to help soothe his demons, to help put his demons at bay. So Saul had David who played the harp. So your harp could be medication, it could be therapy, it could be confiding in a friend to talk to. Alright, so please let's seek help. Alright, lastly, let's talk about Elijah. You can check 1 Kings chapter 9. Oh, for Saul, you can check 1 Samuel 16, 14 to 23. And now for Elijah, please check 1 Kings chapter 9 from verse 4. Elijah at this point was praying to die. Do you know what kind of issue he must have been going through to pray for him to die? Like, it was so hard. It must have been really difficult for him at that point in time, for him to have prayed to God to take his life. It must have been really, really difficult. But then again, I keep telling you, the key to all of these things, the key to everything is seek help early. Seek help early. And I always encourage people, you don't have to wait till your mental health is really, really this low before you can seek help. Okay, even if you just want to talk about a few things. Like I was reading, I was doing my devotion today. Yes, I don't know when I'll post up this video, but I was doing my devotion today, and I was watching a video during my devotion, and the pastor preaching said sometimes it's not even the big struggles in life, it's not the it's not the big rock that causes this that causes your mental health to suffer at some point. I'm using your mental health as an example right now. It's not this big rock. Sometimes it's the little things, the little things. So you can just be struggling at some point. Maybe you're tired, you're experiencing a lot is going on at the moment. You can talk to somebody. And I always refer you guys, you can talk to Psychebabble Foundation, which is my organization. I'll leave our information in the description box. You can just send a message and have counselors or psychological first aiders talk to you or talk you through these things. If you want someone who will check up on you from time to time, we have these people, so please always reach out. Okay guys, so I'm going to give us a few scriptures to help, and also a few things at the end of the video. I would also give us a few things, just one or two things that would really help us, and yeah, that would be about it. So here are a few scriptures that could help you out in periods like this. So you could try out Psalm 23. It's always a help. Psalm 29 verse 7, Isaiah 43 verse 2. Here are a few things that you can try to help you. Here are a few things that you can try. Always talk to somebody. Okay, I always encourage people, and I can't even count how many times I've said it in this video. Always talk to somebody, be it your family member, your friend, a counselor, anybody. Always talk to somebody about how you are feeling at that moment. It could even be your pastor. Your pastor is offering counseling sessions every Sunday. Utilize it. Go and talk to him about things. If you don't feel comfortable enough, talk to a Christian brother that you know, or a Christian sister. Go through therapy. Seek professional help. Another really important thing that a lot of us tend to overlook is exercise. Exercise is a lot. Your body movement, like it could just be taking a walk in the evening. So try exercising, alright? And then do something to help someone else. Do something to help someone else. Help somebody out. Listen to a friend. You know, buy grocery for somebody. whatever it is, just try helping someone else. And also music helps a lot. Personally, I would attest to that. Music works magic. Like, but though be very cautious of the kind of music you listen. But one last thing, God is the help in trouble. He is the help in problems. He is your refuge in the storm. God is not your refuge from the storm. He is your refuge in the storm. Alright guys, so that's all for today. Hopefully we will talk next time. Later. Bye.
You know what's best for me.